Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Beyond. Another great episode. A lot of things went down, so let's kind of break everything down bit by bit. First of all, we got the whole situation with Borden. Oh no, Borden isn't who she says she is. I have not trusted that lady since the beginning of the season. Just because a lot of stuff and the way she handled herself and just, I don't know, just everything about her just didn't seem right. I mean, for one, she didn't seem all that professional in the way she was handling things. And it's just, I don't know. It's just like nothing ever sat right. I know it's like little things, but it's like, for one, she didn't have a partner. Because like I said, there was a similar thing happening in Riverdale at the same time. I was like, something's going on here. Even if she is an FBI agent, even if that was the case, I was like, it's a little suspicious she's there by herself. I'm like, she's either doing this off the books or just something else. But especially last episode, that whole situation with Luke cemented it even more. It's like, you're definitely not who you say you are. And she kind of ends up revealing herself. It turns out that she's like deep connected to like Daniel. And it's like, oh, Daniel gave her a call. And the way she makes it seem like, because my questioning is like, has Daniel been working with her the entire time? Or is it only up to a certain point in time? Like Daniel and Arthur meeting, was that even the chance? Like maybe he was kind of put in place to be like, oh, I want you to go to Arthur and like keep an eye on him and keep an eye on his research and stuff like that, because it seems like that's what they are after, because it seems like they're not even related to Hollow Sky. It seems like they're a third-party group. The fact is they have all this stuff, like they're pretending to be the FBI and stuff like that. I don't know, like obviously they're up to something else entirely. Like, because of a question I'm wondering is that, are they like a rogue group of FBI agents? Are they actually legitimately FBI agents and they're just kind of doing stuff on their own? But I feel like she wouldn't use someone else's name if that was the case. So she can't be FBI, especially like when that whole situation happened. It's like some of her people were wearing ski masks and stuff like that. So, but they have the I mean, well, I was about to say, to be fair, Hollow Sky has the resources that they have, being the little organization they have. So I'm assuming this is some other secret organization too that knows about the realm and everything. Because basically they came and they stepped in because, you know, because that's why Daniel was so adamant about Arthur continuing his research and stuff like that. It seems like it wasn't necessarily just like, oh, well, it's a combination of, oh, you're on the verge of greatness, don't stop now. But it's also because he's working for this group. I don't know, like the conversations make it seem like it's only recently that Daniel got in touch with them. So maybe it's a recent thing. Or like I said, I'm kind of leaning more towards like he's been with them the entire time. So I don't know. It could go either way. Either way, all it got Daniel in the end was a bullet. Kind of felt bad for him. But at the same time, it's like, that's a character that pops up we really don't know that much about anyway. It's kind of like he's there. I mean, we know a little bit like, oh, he was in prison before, you know, Arthur kind of gave him a second chance. So that's about it. We don't really know much about him. So I guess it's okay to do that with a character that we don't really know that much about, because you can play around a little bit more with his intentions and what he was planning the entire time. You know, it gives you more wiggle room to kind of mess around with stuff like that, rather than like kind of a character that's fully established. So I guess that kind of works in his favor that we don't really know that much about him. But she's already hit Arthur's place. She's got Arthur, and she's also got like his machine. So next up is Hollow Sky, which Hollow Sky is taking preemptive measures. There's the whole helping hand situation, as well as Hollow Sky's believers and stuff like that, kind of being kept in the dark by Tess. They moved the machine because they don't want anybody kind of getting to it. So whoever this group is, like I said, it does seem like they are well funded and well armed. I don't know whether it's going to be a situation that Borden's the leader of that group or not. There's always a potential that she might be just kind of like higher up in this situation. It's actually kind of interesting too. I just was thinking about this. There's literally a character in Blind Spot, which spoilers for Blind Spot. His name is Borden, and he was a bad guy, and it's just kind of interesting. Another Borden ends up not being who they claim to be. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. I'm very interested to see how everything kind of turns for this situation, because I mean, especially because all the questions she was asking last time, like pumping Luke for information, because she also now knows about Holden, which means she might be coming after Holden next. So, and because currently Tom, the sheriff, nor Diane knows that she's a fake. The only people that know are Willa and Luke. Well, I mean, obviously Hollow Sky now, so. Which, let's turn to Luke and Willa. There was kind of an interesting conversation that came up with Willa, because she actually kind of felt bad, because it's like, oh, now she didn't realize like how much of an impact everything that happened with Holden would have on their family. Like at the time, she was so focused on Holden, she didn't really pay too much attention to his family, nor like what it would do, you know, not only just his parents, but even what that meant for Luke's life. Like, because his parents were so focused on Holden that like Luke really didn't get that much attention, growing up in those 12 years. It's something that Luke kind of presses. It's like, wait a minute, are you insinuating that you could have woken Holden up sooner? And she says it's not that simple. It's like, oh, she thought they were doing the right thing. Because once again, we still don't 100% know everything that Holden was up to in the realm with Willa and Arthur. I mean, to be fair, it's like she always thought her grandfather had like the best of intentions and stuff like that. But obviously now she kind of knows kind of the opposite to be the case. Like what kind of started all of this? And it's just like all of this is just kind of a competition between him and Frost. Is kind of like all that's kind of a big contributor into this whole situation. But it's like we still don't know what exactly went down those 12 years. Yes, Holden remembers, but like that hasn't come up in the story. So I'm wondering, is that something they're kind of saving for later? Because she was like, oh, I thought we were doing the right thing. And it's just like I said, that it wouldn't be that easy. It's like, why is that? Like, is there stuff that happened to Holden back then, like, that would have made it impossible for him to get back to his body so soon? Those are questions we are left kind of unanswered. But also Willa ends up finding out about her dad, that, his body's still being left behind. I guess they still didn't inform Yellow Jacket about the whole situation, because it's like, oh yeah, all those people woke up. It's like, well, they woke up, but they're not necessarily themselves. I don't know I guess Yellow Jacket's I guess they're all chalking it up to like, they broke out, they went crazy and killed a whole bunch of people. We'll leave it at that. They're probably not even, I mean, who would jump to the conclusion of like, oh yeah, they came back and like, they were possessed by these creatures from the realm. Like, you wouldn't jump to that conclusion. So it doesn't seem like Luke or Willa are really bothering telling them anything, And then you still have Yellow Jacket, even under all these circumstances, still having so much faith in Frost. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to come back and give us the answers we need. It's like, why do you have so much faith in him? Why do you believe so wholeheartedly? Because it almost seems like Yellow Jacket wouldn't be the type to believe so hard. I would kind of assume he'd be like Tess, but it's like, no, he's wholeheartedly a believer, which is so interesting. I even love him walking away with Luke, and he's just kind of like, so how's your brother, trying to make it small talk, and you almost have Luke look like, wait, what? Really? It's really messed up when you actually think about it, because of everything that's happening there. It's like, let's not forget all that Yellow Jacket has done. He's killed Kevin. He's killed a lot of people. He killed Ian. Well, he didn't technically kill Ian. Ramon did, but still. Like, Yellow Jacket's killed a lot of people in the name of this cause. He even killed Richard, a guy that was like a friend and mentor to him, so. But Willa, it seems like, I'm interested to see what direction they take Willa's story going forward, because it seems like for her, it's like, my goal in life now is basically to undo everything you do. Like, basically, you got people believing that it can go and come from, like, the realm, but it's like, we don't belong there. So she's like, I'm going to go convince everyone that you've convinced that can do it. I'm going to unconvince them that like don't go to the realm. And then at the same time, like, she's like, even people who you haven't reached, I'm gonna tell them too. So it's like, it's almost like basically everything you've built up, Dad, just because of who you are and everything you've done, I'm going to dismantle everything and destroy it all. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes, especially with whatever they decide to do with Frost, which I'll get to that soon enough. So, but while all this is happening, you have interesting aspect I wasn't expecting. I knew his parents would find out sooner or later. I just wasn't expecting it to be maybe even this season. But obviously, they like with everything that's going down, this went down this season. Of course, they were going to find out. But it seems like Holden's mom, Diane and Tom, even the sheriff, find out what Holden's all about because Ian sent her a video showing kind of what Holden's capable of, some of the recordings, and it showed him using his powers around to sleep, and it's like, holy crap. Like, it's interesting because the moment he shows up at the end of the episode, they didn't bring that up. So I don't know whether it's a situation of, well, Holden's kept this from us, like, we need to make sure that because even Ian saying that, like, he's going to need Diane in the future, like, need his parents for what's, because of being special like he is, because eventually if that gets out, it's going to turn everything upside down, turn his entire world even more upside down than it already is. So it does beg the question, what are they going to do about it? Will they actually tell him next episode or whatever that they know, so we'll have to wait and see. But kind of getting to the main focus of the episode is about Holden, Edgar, Jeff, and Charlie working on trying to get Holden to the realm. I do like that what the freezer ends up actually being. It's more of a deprivation chamber. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more setup to it and everything. And I even appreciate Edgar goes to his house and that little girl's there, and he actually sits down and she's like, "Oh, where were you then? If this was your room, whatever happened?" And he basically explains like, "Oh yeah, I split away from my consciousness." It's like that little girl doesn't understand that, but I think it's so cute that he's up there trying to explain it to her and everything. And then later on, it's like, "Oh yeah." It's like, oh, he has that walkie-talkie. Like, did you steal that from that little girl? It's only fair because she stole my room first, so I'm borrowing this. And you have Jeff and Charlie looking like, okay. What I also appreciate about this episode is the fact is that we get a kind of different look at the realm. Like last season, we saw little bits of the realm. We saw like the more temporal looking areas, obviously the woods, and then the tundra. Those are environments within the realm we've kind of seen. Now we see like obviously like Holden ends up popping up in a big like ocean or lake, and he ends up swimming to an island and everything. And it's like, that's a completely different side of the realm. We've saw bits and pieces of the realm this season too. I do appreciate it though. It's not like it's a whole grand picture. It is, they are sectioning it up, but we are seeing that there is a lot more to the realm. Like we still don't know to what scale it exists. Is it like the size of the earth, you know? What kind of shape is the realm? Is it like a flat planet? Is it a spherical planet? Is it kind of like, is it a lot closer to Earth than we realize, or is it just kind of its own thing? Like the environments prior to now just kind of seem like they'd be Earth environments, just under different circumstances, like structures that you wouldn't see. Or to be fair, because we saw the city like areas of like the realm like last season, we saw a bit of it, but that's about it. So just this particular environment looked like it was kind of the most like grounded one. This and the tundra look like the most grounded in my opinion, but I don't know. I'm so interested to find out more about that world. Obviously, we have not even begun to like explore the depths of it. But what's kind of interesting is when Holden gets to the place that he remembers from his dreams every time he touched the lock, or well, rather the freezer. And it's interesting because he ends up coming across a chair, and lo and behold, who does he run into? Frost. Wasn't expecting that. So that saying that Frost was the one there in the chair? And this kind of goes back to what I was bringing up before. Like, I kind of made the comparison between this and the Speed Force from the Flash. Like, can this thing manifest itself in any shape and form? Like, because even Holden was like, "Are you Frost? How do I even know this is real?" It's like, does it matter? It's like, is that really Frost, or is that like the realm, like taking on the form of someone that Holden would know? Because if it's like, because the way it makes it seem like, oh yeah, like even Frost is calling himself out. He's like, yeah, I was kind of an idiot for doing what I did. I just lost myself because I was in front of the woman I love. But basically saying that there is a price to pay for all of this. And Holden can close the doorway because it's like, yeah, the doorway that they're seeping through, the longer it's open, the stronger Diego gets. Because while I kept bringing that up, it's like, Diego's like super powerful. Like, Holden's never gone up against anyone like that before, which is kind of making this whole situation that much more like incredible. But nevertheless, Holden's price for doing that was that basically he has to kill his younger self, because his younger self is more of a, I guess, it might be a physical thing, but it also seems like it might be a metaphorical thing, because that's the side of Holden that still holds on to belief that, hey, I can walk both paths. I can keep my normal life and keep up with all this like crazy realm stuff. But it's like, nope, you can't. You can't go down one road while still clinging to another path. And along with that comes so much, like killing that side of himself. Like for now, it seems like it's created a blood pact between him and the realm. Him and the realm are bound together. For what that 100% means, we still don't know. Like, what will be the consequences for Holden doing what he's doing? Because basically it means accepting his destiny, which is something, Edgar goes into. Is like, we all have this illusion of, we have this idea that free will is a real thing. It's like, no, it's an illusion. Destiny, like everything's kind of already been predetermined. Destiny is a thing. Only thing we can do is go down the path that's laid before us, which begs the question, like, is there any changing it, or is everything kind of written in stone? Are things always meant to be what they're meant to be? Because it's kind of an interesting thing, because Charlie and Jeff kind of had the whole conversation of trust. It's like, for Jeff, it's like, he trusts Charlie because Holden trusts her, and she's telling Jeff that no, she's not going to run this time. And Jeff ends up bringing up something interesting, because like Charlie was like, Holden's lucky to have you. He's like, no, he's not. Like, if it wasn't for me, Holden wouldn't be in the situation that he's in. He wouldn't have banged his head, ended up in that coma. I mean, to be fair, like, it wasn't 100% Jeff. I mean, it's just like Holden just happened to be at the right place wrong place at the wrong time. But then again, once again, the whole Destiny situation. And also Jeff blames himself because he's like, yeah, if it wasn't for all this, maybe if Holden had become the way he did, kind of get mixed up in all this, Kevin wouldn't have got mixed up in it too. So he blames himself not only for what happened to Holden, but also what happens to his brother, which Charlie's like, you gotta let that go because it will suffocate you holding on to the past, which she knows because she held on to all her anger for Arthur and it controlled so much of her life. And now she's kind of let it go to a certain extent. I'm sure it's still there. That was kind of an interesting thing to kind of hear that perspective from Jeff. Because like I said, he ended up being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for Jeff chasing him. But then again, maybe he would have found his way there some other way. Because it's interesting too, because it's something that doesn't really cross my mind too much. But the fact is, everything related to the realm is everywhere. Obviously, there are weaker spots than others. So like that place where Holden ended up going into his coma, Edgar's house, for instance, which they used to kind of help Holden in this episode. Like all of them are smaller, like they're places where the walls are a lot more malleable, kind of crossing over between the worlds. Even bringing up the Bermuda Triangle. Charles was like, really? The Bermuda Triangle? I was like, yeah. Why do you think all that stuff keeps disappearing? Where it goes, huh? Which is kind of interesting to think about. Because I think in my mind, I keep thinking of it just as a Fort Reed, like, situation. And I was like, no, this is like a worldwide thing. I mean, let's not forget about like where Diego came from, because obviously like this stretches this entire world. I mean, maybe even beyond. Ha 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 ha, title of the show. They wasn't even trying to do that, but the moment it came to my mind and I said it, I was like, okay. So, like I said, that's why I'm wondering is that like the realm's supposed to be like a mirror image to like this world. It's actually kind of interesting too, because Jeff also brought up something interesting too, where he's kind of like, okay, like he's kind of understanding the realm thing a little bit more. Oh, you're conscious to go there and everything. It's like, right? He's like, but what if this isn't the real world? What if we're all in the realm and our brains and our minds are just being projected into this world? And he's like, what if I'm not even real? And it's like, you even see Holden kind of looking like, holy crap, that's crazy. That's some like existential level stuff. And it's like, holy crap. I mean, considering everything that's kind of happened and everything just got mixed up, and it's kind of like, you kind of can't help but kind of think about things, kind of put things in perspective like that. So it's such an interesting thought process. I don't think that's true, but it's something interesting to think about. I mean, to be fair, the fact that he went out of the way to bring up that conversation makes you go, maybe there's more to this than that. And now I think about it in retrospect, it's like, Jeff is really big into the whole concept of destiny, because he's always talked about like life kind of sending him where he needs to go. Like that's kind of always been his message, that, the universe has a way of showing you where to go, which I'd almost completely forgot was kind of a big part for him like last season. And now that's kind of like coming full circle for not just him, but for everyone in this whole situation. But what's also interesting is that, well, kind of really quickly going back to the whole being bound to the realm thing, like, does that mean it's going to be a situation of Holden kind of being more like a messenger? Like I guess he's the one that kind of has to keep the balance from now on. Like, obviously he's trying to restore balance, but like, will that be his permanent job, operating in both this world and the realm? Like, will he be kind of the realm's liaison? Like something like that? Like, is he going to have to go all superhero to kind of protect both worlds type of thing? Or will he be in, like, are there other worlds besides this realm and the realm? I mean, obviously there's like the afterlife, what, like, crossing the bridge, like, there's that, sure, but like, is it like a multiverse type of situation? I guess because on some weird level I want everything to have a multiverse situation now, but nevertheless, I'm just curious like what that all entails exactly. And are there other people bound to the realm as well, or is Holden the only one? Was this always supposed to be his destiny and stuff like that, But what was really interesting is we ended up finding out that Charlie lied when she said she touched the freezer. She didn't see anything, which she's got a very good poker face. She lied. What she saw was Holden dying, which I don't know whether that was her seeing what happened to Holden inside of the realm. Is that what she saw? I kind of get the feeling that might not be the case. It could be possibly that, but I'm thinking more so like, oh, Holden dies, which even Edgar's like, well, there's always a first time for being wrong, The question is that supposed to be Holden's destiny? Is that what's supposed to happen next? Is like to stop Diego and all those others? Will he have to die to do it? Or we're talking about something further into the future, some even greater threat? We do not know, and we will just, have to wait and see how everything plays out. I also thought it was kind of interesting that Edgar kind of locks himself back up. He's like, oh, I'm going to go back to Cold Creek, because for him, it's like, that's where he needs to be. It's like the closest thing he has to a home, because he really doesn't have any more family. He doesn't have any other place to go to call home. And it's like, no matter what befalls him, he's like, that's a place I'll accept, because they kept me safe. And it's like, it's his way of keeping others safe, as well as keeping him safe from others and others safe from him, as well as him being safe from himself. So ultimately, we'll have to wait and see, especially now that the doctors there know about his whole situation. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, is there going to be more to that or not. I get the feeling there has to be, but like I said, we will have to wait and see. Next week is the season finale, and I have no idea how this is all going to play out, and I'm so very interested to see what happens in the final showdown between Holden and Diego, and what this all means for the future for all of them, especially with Borden on the loose. Like I said, the last time we see her is with Tess, so I don't know whether Tess is setting up a trap, because even Yellow Jacket's like, oh, we'll be ready. So who's going to come out on top in this situation? And who, like I said, who are they really? Maybe we'll get those answers in the season finale. I'm so excited to see how this season it comes to a close. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.